Be challenging for business leaders, but Omni Strategic Technologies enables your business to perform without limits. They're the only IT company the watchdog trusts. Omni offers IT managed services, cybersecurity and advisory solutions, backup and disaster recovery, and can handle all your hardware needs. If your business is faced with any technology challenges, the answer is simple. Call Omni Strategic Technologies at 304-242-7600 or visit them at www.omniperforms.com.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster, with a look at your local weather forecast for your Wednesday. Partly sunny skies, a daytime high near 41, overnight low of 31 under partly cloudy skies, cloud sunshine mixing for your Thursday with highs near 45. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Good morning, old friends.
Hey, what are you doing here? About to go on the air.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is?
Wake up, fairy princesses, wake up!
Guess what day it is?
Get up before I get you up!
Guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Hump day.
Woo-hoo!
This is Wednesday. She calls it over the hump day. Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
We ain't one at a time in here. They broadcast me out on the radio. We're mass communicating.
Let Wednesday begin!
Hit it!
Your morning news, weather, and sports wrapped into his own unique perspective. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe and Brad Leonard in the producer's chair. Brought to you in part by Wheeling Hospital.
Hard to believe it was a week ago, this time in the morning, that we were anticipating a little protest around the Electoral College count that was going to happen. We were wondering who was going to win in the second of the Georgia elections for senator, because the first one had been decided. The second one was still a little bit up in the air, and we were kind of waiting for that. And those are going to be the big stories today. A little peaceful protest around the Electoral College, and Donald Trump is going to rally, and who's going to win finally in Georgia. That was what we're thinking about. And then, well, all hell broke loose, and the Capitol insurrection occurred, and suddenly not just our conversation changed, but really the direction of America in some ways completely changed. It was just a week ago, the Capitol insurrection. Now we're talking about a second impeachment of Donald Trump. The House today votes on that impeachment. Believe it or not, Hoppy Kercheval is in favor of impeachment. Kercheval, whom we tend to think of, with good blessings to my good friend Hop, we tend to think of him as a bit of a conservative right-winger. Let's be honest about it. A fair and balanced one, but a conservative right-winger nonetheless. Hoppy says, Trump's got to go. We're going to talk to Kercheval about that coming up a little bit later on this morning. We are learning now for sure. Do you remember after 9/11, when we began to realize that there had been warning signs of these pilots who were learning to fly but not land, when we had been learning that there was chatter out there about some kind of coordinated event on September 11th? Remember that? And the disbelief we had that, oh my God, we knew about this. We had warnings about this and nobody did anything. Well, it looks like the FBI had significant warnings about the violent protests ahead of the Capitol insurrection, but yet again, no preemptive action was taken of any kind. Meanwhile, states are preparing for trouble following the FBI alert of potential violence coming in all 50 states. Governor Justice says, don't worry, be happy. He didn't say be happy, but Governor Justice says, don't worry, law enforcement will be diligent, and he expects West Virginians to use good judgment and be on our best behavior. Oh, well, okay. That will make things well. Keep in mind the timing of this. The Justice inaugural is set for next Monday. Justice inauguration set for next Monday. There has been a petition started to remove West Virginia State Senator Mike Azinger following his involvement in protests at the U.S. Capitol, and a group of Senate Democrats have gotten together and are encouraging Azinger to be reprimanded, or at least to acknowledge he was wrong in some things he said this week about that protest. Mountain State lawmakers are back in session today in Charleston for an organizational meeting just ahead of the Justice inauguration. Elsewhere, attention, of course, is turning mainly now to the COVID vaccine, but there is still significant testing being done in the Valley. We will talk with Dr. Vic Wood from Doctors Urgent Care about that. Brooke County has chosen to continue remote education past the governor's January 19th deadline. This as the WVEA reiterates its belief that all school decisions should be made locally, and as the WVEA releases a poll of its members showing the overwhelming number of members think it's not time yet to go back to classroom. All of this is coming up this morning here on the Watchdog Morning Show. As always, if you have something you want to add to the program, the text line, the simple, fastest, easiest way to do it, 304-214-1600, 304-214-1600. You may feel free to text in at any time. Generally speaking, read all of your texts when I can, provided you keep it legal, keep it clean, and provided that Biff and I can read them. We do have a little bit of a problem sometimes reading some texts, for not your problem, but ours. Weather-wise, partly sunny and mild, a partly sunny day today. Low 40s, 41, 42 for the high, but yet again, a cold morning. 25 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. The wind is whipping up a little bit. That makes it feel like 15 degrees, the feel-like temperature. So 25 at the airport, 25 at my home studios, 25 degrees here, 25 degrees at the Robinson Auto Group Studios, downtown Wheeling, in the heart of the Ohio Valley. 7:14 as we get the gig underway. Good morning, Brother Biff. Good to have you here this morning.
Good morning, Howard.
Feeling good, excited, energized, depressed, tired? What's the mood of the morning for Brother Biff?
Ready to go.
Ready to roll. Okay.
That's
right.
it.
You know, I have been slowly but surely feeling, I don't know what word I wanted to use, but burned out isn't quite right. Overwhelmed maybe is the word that I've been using. I've been getting frustrated finally with the COVID restrictions to begin with. I mentioned earlier, we took a ride this weekend. I just wanted to be able to go out and go and eat someplace and maybe go shop somewhere and just get out in public. See friends, talk to people. It's just beginning to really get to me. But I'm not, because I'm very COVID concerned. And then you throw in this insurrection that happened last week, and there's been growing frustration on my part with the divide in this country to begin with, growing frustration with the anger that I'm seeing over on social media over the political world. And then it all came to a head on Wednesday. I spent a couple of days glued to the TV, reading every single thing I could about the insurrection, the investigation, watching the various videos. And I think we all need to do that. And then I finally said, no mas, I couldn't do it. I mentioned over the weekend I gave up. I watched The Scarecrow of Romney Marsh, an old Wonderful World of Disney movie, because I just couldn't take it anymore. And my wife and I are still watching Perry Mason at night, the old 50s versions of Perry Mason shows, just to get away from this, just to get away from it. I learned now that this feeling that I'm having, and I suspect many people have it as well, has an official psychological name. It is emotional exhaustion. The feeling of being overwhelmed and burned out. Vale Wright is Senior Director of Healthcare Information at the American Psychological Association. He says, emotional exhaustion is a sense of being overwhelmed to the point where you feel like you just can't deal with it anymore. And I've gotten that point. I can't take it anymore. Apparently, I'm suffering from emotional exhaustion because, these days we have to name everything, right? Dr. Wright says it is physical tiredness, mental tiredness. It means you have a difficulty in concentrating. You're irritable, nervous, frustrated. You have a general brain fog. No comments from my listeners about my brain fog. I know some of you think I have a fog all the time, but you live in a general brain fog. You feel disconnected from other people. And I've really noticed that a lot more than in the past, too. We had our friends, the Wellings, come visit us for an hour or so over the weekend. We don't see them very often because of COVID, but everybody masked up and they came out and we chatted for a while. And normally it's a great, engaging conversation. I noticed this weekend during that get-together, I wasn't engaged the way I used to be. I was still disconnected. I still was not focused on what we had. My wife yelled at me. I was still looking at my phone and all that kind of stuff. Feeling disconnected, another example of emotional exhaustion. Muscle fatigue, tension, headache, sleep problems. I've reached the point, as you all know, I've told you, I am now taking a sleeping pill. I know that's sad, that's depressing, that's an old man's thing, but I've reached the point where I can only sleep at night with a sleeping pill. So that's a description of emotional exhaustion. Again, we have to have names for it these days. So what do you do about it? What do I do about it? I don't understand the answer here. I don't understand what I was supposed to do. To feel better, you should set boundaries. I have a boundary. It's called my front door. I can't go out it very often. What does that mean, set boundaries? Don't try to be a superhero. Other than to my grandson, I've never tried to be a superhero. And think about what refills you emotionally. I don't know what that means. What refills me? Eating and watching old Perry Mason episodes, I guess. That's what refills me emotionally. Anyway, I feel, at least I've got a name for it now. Maybe y'all have the same feeling. Now I have a name for it. It is emotional exhaustion that I am feeling. Perhaps you all are feeling it as well. If you do, well, join the club, I guess. Join the club. 7:19, Watchdog Morning Show. I guess we should get into the Capitol insurrection. Huge amount of material I want to bring to your attention. If you literally followed the news hour by hour over the day yesterday, you have a lot of that already. But it's some things I want to put up front. I want to focus on, offer a comment or two on, get some of Biff's thoughts on. And I shall do that as we turn to the Capitol insurrection. Coming up next here on the Watchdog Morning Show for a Wednesday.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
Quaker Steak and Lube at the Highlands is...
sale. Select from over 80 vehicles in stock, starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection.
A serious injury from an accident can be just the start of your worries. What if you cannot return to work? How do you take care of your family if you're disabled? At Gelner Law Offices, we represent seriously injured people and understand their problem. We know how to get you fair compensation. We will work hard to make sure you get the money you deserve for your losses. Don't go it alone. If you're hurt in an accident, call us at 304-242-2900 or visit us at gelnerlaw.com.
We'd like to help.
From the Watchdog Network, right now traffic. Here's the latest from the Robinson Auto Group Traffic Center.
Traffic near the Highlands, on Washington Avenue, and on the Fort Henry Bridge is all clear. Traffic near the Ohio Valley Mall, on 70 and 470, and on State Route 7 is running regularly. The single right lane restrictions on the I-70 westbound First Bridge, east from just beyond exit 1B to approximately Wheeling Tunnel, will continue. The single lane restrictions on Ohio Route 7 from just south of Etna Street and Martins Ferry up until the Bridgeport exit will continue. The Market Street overpass width reduction will continue. I-70 construction will continue westbound where crossovers are in effect. And all existing detours and closures will continue for the I-70 Bridges project. Follow Ohio Valley Traffic Report on Facebook, WTRF7 News, and the Watchdog for updates.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for your Wednesday. Partly sunny skies, a daytime high near 41, overnight low of 31 under partly cloudy skies. Clouds, sunshine mixing for your Thursday with highs near 45. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
Thank you for riding with the Watchdog. Live and local, just the way you like it. Give us a call and tell us what you're thinking. Locally, 304-214-1600. Out of the area, toll free, 866-514-1600 or 304-232-TALK.
There's a time and a place for everything, including a different point of view. This is that time and place. You're listening to the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe, brought to you in part by Wheeling Hospital.
7:25 and 25 degrees on this Wednesday morning. If you watched the Capitol insurrection a week ago, I don't know how anybody could think it was anything other than horrible. Regardless of how you want to argue that it got started, whether you want to say that Donald Trump did or didn't start it, and anybody who watched it, how could you say it's anything but horrible? Although you heard earlier this morning a comment from Mike Azinger, state senator in West Virginia, who was there, and who said, why, it was kind of like a county fair. A county fair? What kind of county fairs did you go to? A county fair. The FBI had warning ahead of time that this was going to happen. The FBI had issued a very dire warning a day before the Capitol insurrection. One of the assistant FBI directors spoke publicly on the subject yesterday. He said they had an intelligence report, including a thread from a message board that described all kinds of preparations for an assault. It included maps of the Capitol, including the Capitol area tunnels, which are they're not secret, they're out in public, but most folks don't know how to get around those tunnels. Many senators and congressmen don't know how to get around the tunnels because they're just a warren of cubby holes and tunnels. And yet the maps were there in this preparation material the FBI was able to get a hold of. There were staging areas set by potential rioters in Kentucky, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, and South Carolina. They were setting up staging areas to be prepared for this. The FBI had this information. They got this intelligence cache from, I assume, monitoring websites and so on. They didn't want to reveal their sources. And they said that they shared that information, quote, within 40 minutes with all law enforcement partners. How in God's name, having had intelligence of your own, knowledge of your own, smarts of your own, then having specific intelligence from the FBI that this stuff was being planned, how intently was it being planned? Here's a quote from the intelligence information they gathered. Quote, Congress needs to hear glass breaking, doors being kicked in. Go there ready for war. We get our president or we die. Nothing else can achieve our goal. This is the mission that some folks set out ahead of time to do. Knowing all of this, why was the National Guard not involved to begin with? Knowing all of this, why were we not better prepared? Knowing all of this, why didn't we put together the kind of preemptive force that was put together during the Black Lives Matter movement? Why did we let this get to the point that it got to? We had knowledge ahead of time. And now, my friends, we have knowledge ahead of time again. Capitol Police briefed Democrats yesterday, actually Monday, about 3 more potentially gruesome demonstrations that are planned in the coming days. One demonstration being called, quote, the largest armed protest ever to take place on American soil. It is being planned. Another, a protest in honor of the woman who was killed while trying to climb into the speaker's lobby during the insurrection last week. And another, which several members who were briefed on the briefing said was by far the most concerning. It would invite the insurrectionists to form a perimeter around the Capitol, the White House, and the Supreme Court, blocking Democrats from entering the Capitol and killing them if necessary so Republicans could take control of the government. That is clearly a planned armed coup. Members who were briefed on this were extremely concerned, as one should be. We had warning of the insurrection, and not enough was done. In fact, really nothing was really done other than, oh, we're going to have a protest, we better get some people out there. Not enough was done. Let's not make that mistake again. We now have multiple warnings that there's going to be serious armed violence, insurrection, and an attempted coup coming sometime over the next few days. What in the world are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? Are we going to have enough armed response? Are we going to be prepared to take serious action if necessary? And by serious action, I mean to take violent response from the law enforcement agencies. If violence occurs, will we meet it with violence? What are we going to do? We talked about yesterday, the National Guard is now going to come into D.C., several state capitals, because they're preparing for the armed protests and kind of getting ready for what could be a 50-state attack. And keep in mind, I mentioned a few minutes ago, Governor Justice has his inauguration set for next Monday. Could it be a targeted possibility? I certainly think so. Now, Governor Justice says, and I want to be careful how I phrase this because I don't want to diminish what he says. Governor Justice says, wow, we've got to watch and we got to be on guard. I'm sure there will be heightened alerts and all that kind of stuff, but our people are good people. Hey, I'm not so sure, to be honest with you, but okay, our people are good people, so we're just going to assume the good people, goodness will win out, and we're going to assume that? Governor says, don't worry. Governor Justice says, well, don't worry about it. There was a time not long ago when cities were burning down. There were all kinds of violent protests going on. But what did we do in West Virginia? We did good stuff, didn't we? Didn't our people do good then? We will do good now. Governor Justice says that, again, I want to be clear, he's not saying they're not going to do anything. But he says that we will have things prepared, law enforcement will be diligent. But then he goes on to say, but I know the people of West Virginia are good people and will be diligent and not do anything bad. This is your response? This is your response? Wow, we won't be doing anything bad. Holy mackerel, Governor. Now, the state capitol security officials say they are prepared. Stephen Allen Adams in the morning paper today says the FBI, that the Capitol, not Capitol Police, but state capitol officials are prepared, are gathering together a plan to respond to any potential violence. But the governor, bless his heart, says, why, our people are good people. We will have goodness here in the state. With goodness like Derek Evans, who was inside the Capitol and one of the insurrectionists, has already been arrested and charged with federal crimes. Goodness like Mike Azinger, who was at the event and questionably was inside or outside the event, and who says, despite what we all saw, windows being broken, people being attacked, hang Mike Pence being shouted, roaming and vandalizing, despite all that, Azinger, who said, why, it was more like a county fair. These are the people whose goodness he's counting on? Governor, I'm not so sure. And on Capitol Hill, the possibility of impeachment is rising. More Republicans, not a ton yet, but more Republicans are now saying in the Senate, they would vote for impeachment. The House yesterday put a resolution out calling for the 25th Amendment to be used to remove President Trump. Mike Pence says he's not going to do that. The House now, according to our ABC News team here, is moving forward today with impeachment.
At least 5 Republicans in Congress say they will vote today to impeach President Trump for incitement of insurrection, a week after a mob descended on Capitol Hill following the president's speech about the election. Defending himself Tuesday, President Trump said,
people thought that what I said was totally appropriate.
Different take, though, from Congresswoman Liz Cheney, the number 3 Republican in House leadership, who wrote, there has never been a greater betrayal by a president.
Continuing coverage of the possible impeachment throughout the day today, and Hoppy Kirchner will going to join me a bit later on. He and I are going to talk about impeachment. Hoppy actually believes impeachment is necessary. Something a little unusual to come from Kirchner, so we'll talk about that coming up in a bit. And I'd like to know who the people are. Donald Trump says, why, people said that what I said was very appropriate. I'd love to know who those people are. Well, I guess I know who they are. Cultists, members of his cult. But I don't know any thinking person who felt it was appropriate. We'll talk about that coming up a bit as well. The Joint Chiefs have issued a statement. We'll get into that in a bit. basically telling the military, hey, listen, guys, we don't take part in military coups. And we'll talk a bit more about Mike Azinger in West Virginia as well. I have all of that coming up on the Watchdog Morning Show, but let's take a headline check first from our friends of the Big Seven. Billy D's got morning sports, and then Zach will give us a quick check of the weather. Watchdog Morning Show underway. It's a Wednesday. I am glad you're here for my conversational ride today.
The WTRF Channel 7 News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Now it's time for your local news headlines from 7 News.
Biff, we have Dr. Vic Wood calling us at 8:10, and we have to call Hoppy at 8:40. After Zach, I'll use those two cuts from Pulse News.
Players, coaches, hockey operations from both teams. Now, the remaining arena capacity will be restricted to family and friends of the players. If you're looking ahead, the Penguins' first home game, Sunday, January 17th, against the Washington Capitals. A change on the Steelers roster has already taken place. The team released Trey Edmonds, the brother of Terrell Edmonds, and the Steelers facilities forced to shut down due to a player who tested positive for COVID-19. Would you like to know who that player was? It was tight end Eric Ebron. High school basketball heard on the Watchdog airwaves, Steubenville 78, St. Clairsville 75. Hey, be safe out there. Be considerate of others. Please check on the elderly. I'm Bill DeFabio on sports on AM 1600, and we are the Watchdog.
You're listening to The Watchdog, now on FM at 97.7 and 98.1. Sounds so clear. Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson were just discussing it.
Are we clear?
Yes, sir.
Are we clear?
Crystal.
The Watchdog, live and local talk radio, just the way you like it.
The Valley's most interesting conversations continue now on the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe, brought to you in part by Wheeling Hospital.
Hey, welcome to those of you who are watching us on Facebook Live video. Always good to see you there. Hopefully it's good to see me here. You can peek into the home studio, see my Action Comics comic book there in the background, my Mount Pilatus picture hanging there, and of course the dancing ladies on the wall too. So that's all you get to see, and then me. But check us out, Facebook Live video. All of the hosts throughout the day are on Facebook Live. The Legislative Watchdogs are in at 9. You'll be able to watch them. Then it's, let's see, Bill DeFabio's away today, of course, for his show because it's a Wednesday. But Mayor Glenn Elliott, and Vice Mayor Chad Thalman will be in with You're Wheeling, no two ways about it, at noon, and then the ladies will be in at 1 o'clock. So a lot of things for you to watch and have fun with today. Then, of course, at 2 o'clock, it is real big talk with Big Rick. Big Rick Aruba's in this afternoon on the afternoon drive. So a lot of stuff to listen to if you're on the radio, or watch if you're in front of your computer here on our Facebook Live feed. It's 18 till the hour. It's weather time. Zach is here from the Big 7, WTRF TV. Good morning, Zach.
Hey, good morning, Howard. How are you, sir?
I'm trying to think of something I can talk to you about this morning, because the weather is pretty much same thing we talked about yesterday, basically, right?
Yeah, exactly. Biff was saying that same old, and I could not agree more. But it is, I guess, if we want to say, it's chilly outside. Temperatures are in the mid-20s. Winds are blowing from the southwest right around 7 miles per hour, making it feel like it's in the upper teens. So maybe just best to stay at home wrapped up in a blanket and just sleep all day. That sounds
I like the sound of that.
That sounds mighty nice.
I got a nice warm blanket. You had to get out to come here and do the show. Come here meaning go from the bedroom to the office. But I wouldn't mind putting my nice warm blanket back on and taking a snooze again. And I'm going to question your choice of words. You said it's a little chilly outside. It's downright cold.
Right.
Feels like temperature of 15 degrees. That's cold. That's not chilly.
Yeah, again, like I just find a hard time putting it into perspective. It's wind chill, and like you said, in the mid to upper teens, and it's just, okay, the teens are, that's pretty cold, but then when do we start using the word bitter? That's what I'm just,
that's a good point. Let me get, all right, right now it's 25 degrees with a feels like of 15, okay?
Okay.
And so it's cold outside.
Okay.
I think when the temperature is 15 and the feels like is 0, that's when it's bitter cold. I think that's kind of the scale I might want to use.
Okay, I'm writing this down so that way I can start using it on air production. So that way I have the Howard Monroe feels like scale, the temperature scale. Whenever I'm allowed to say, oh, it's cold, and then whenever we have those those check mark boxes, we'll say, okay, it's, according to Howard's scale, it's bitter outside. So
yeah, chilly, cold, and then bitter cold. Those are the three declining terms you're going to use. It's chilly, it's cold, it's bitter cold.
Is there anything below bitter cold?
Oh, I don't know.
What is I was trying to think of something. I lost it. I had something. I was like, oh, that's perfect. And then I lost it. I can't find it.
Yeah, I'm trying. There's got to be a word. I'm trying to think. Biff, help out. What's below bitter cold? Really bitter cold?
Where's frigid fall?
Frigid.
Frigid's good. Good. That's good. That's good. That's good. I like that. Frigid. Yeah, that's good. Yesterday afternoon, grandson Teddy wanted to go outside and play. No, okay, Teddy, I'm not going out. Granddad is not going outside. It's too cold outside. Well, how cold is it, Granddad? I checked the temperature on Storm Tracker 7, and it said 28 degrees. And I said, 28 degrees? He said, Granddad, that's not too bad. I can count the 28.
I'm glad that makes one of us. I can't.
Which he proceeded to do, counted to 28, and he said, see, that's not so bad. It's like, oh, grandson, that's not... We're still not going outside. I'm sorry, we're not going outside. Although, isn't it interesting, now that I think about it out loud, if there was snow out there, and we could make snowmen and, throw snowballs and so on with 28 degrees, I would go outside. It's just to go outside and stand in the cold with no snow, 28 sounds too cold. I don't know. It's just, you see all these things we got to factor in, Zach. It's not just the meteorological, statistical, factual stuff. We got to factor in human factors here.
Yeah, well, the other thing, too, probably that your grandson wasn't thinking about were the winds. And we have to factor that in, too, because whenever you have sustained winds blowing in between that 5 to 10 mile per hour range, I mean, we all know it's just, you just don't want to be outside. It just makes it feel awful outside.
Well, today, a mixture of sun and clouds. Might see a little bit more sun, maybe. Going to get up to around 40 again, somewhere in that general range. And then what's the rest of the week like? Again, going to warm up a little bit tomorrow, I guess?
Yeah, mid-40s, but again, similar sky conditions. Again, mixture of sun and clouds. But Friday is when things do get interesting, at least from my perspective. I finally have something to talk about, Howard. I have precipitation, hopefully. It looks like we'll see some rain showers, hopefully in the afternoon, but systems and models are starting to indicate this might be coming early on in the morning, so something I'll continue to monitor as our model data becomes available. But I do expect a shot of cold air coming in for Friday evening, and temperatures will be falling throughout the day. So we'll reach our high temperature maybe before lunch, and then after lunch, that cold front's going to come through, and we're going to see temperatures falling throughout the afternoon into your evening. That's allowing us to transition over to snow flurries. And then I do expect us to keep with the colder air mass in place over the weekend and through the start of the next work week. I know I don't want to be thinking about next Monday yet, but according to our 7-day, we have to. And next Monday is Martin Luther King Day, so it looks like it's going to be a little cloudy, though. But not to rush past the weekend, it looks like we could see maybe a stray snow flurry or two both Saturday and Sunday, with temperatures hovering right around that freezing mark.
All right, so a couple of days pretty much the same, then the temperatures will drop, a little bit of precipitation comes in, not a cumulative snow probably, but at least noticeable precipitation, mainly snow coming in over the weekend. And a significant drop in temperature, as in about 10 degrees. We're going to be down into the low 30s, down around freezing for the weekend. So, again, but it's going to be a bundle-up week and weekend, I guess, all the way around.
Yeah, just bundle up. Again, like you said, find that blankie and just stay warm underneath the covers, because man, I definitely wish I would have, because I was blasted with a shot of cold air when I walked to my car this morning. I even had to run back to get my gloves, because just sitting in that cold car whenever it's still waiting to warm up and then drive, and it's just, I don't like my hands are one of the first to go, and once my hands go, I start to get a little irritable, but once my toes go, I'm just downright miserable.
I hear you. Well, stay warm, don't be miserable, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, Howard, you too. Take it easy.
All right, thanks a lot. Zach Petty from the Big 7, WTRF TV, checking in here on the Watchdog Morning Show, 7:50, 10 before the hour. Biffy, do we need to do a break or anything?
We are good to go.
We are good to go. A couple of items off the text line. Yeah, again, Governor Justice says, don't worry. He's not concerned about the, again, I want to be clear. I'm not trying to suggest he minimizes it, but the governor wants to count on the goodness of our people to not have any troubles at the state capitol. And yet the FBI says there are events of violence planned at all 50 state capitals. The governor's inaugural is coming up on Monday. That is an event that I would think you want to be careful about. And one of our texters points out here, the vice president is going to be in Charleston for the Chuck Yeager Memorial on Friday, and I think that opens up a real distinct possibility for trouble, Biffy. Mike Pence is, keep in mind that during the insurrection a week ago, they were saying, hang Mike Pence, hang Mike Pence. So, I don't know that it's a good idea to have the vice president come visit. Normally it's an honor and a privilege to have the vice president here, but I'm not so sure on Saturday. Let's see. The people, again, off the text line 304-214-1600, Howard, the people who said his comments were appropriate are the voices he hears in his head. Well, yeah, I don't know who it is. President Trump yesterday appeared in public for the first time, and somehow it just seems so appropriate. He was back down at his wall again. From the very beginning, it was the wall that Mexico was going to pay for. Yeah, they didn't. To the extent there is a wall, it's not what he said he was going to do, but we paid for it. But he was back at his wall. I think he signed a plaque or something, and just looking at my wall, my beautiful wall. He did make some comments about the insurrection, though, and basically rejected all responsibility for the Capitol assault. He says that his speech was, and I quote, totally appropriate. Totally appropriate. In fact, here's specifically a bit of what he said.
They've analyzed my speech and my words and my final paragraph, my final sentence, and everybody to the T thought it was totally appropriate.
I would love to know who everybody is, because ain't nobody I know who thinks it was appropriate. Whether it reaches the level of incitement to insurrection is an issue to be discussed, but whether you think that it was appropriate, I don't think anybody thinks it was appropriate. And I saw a text someone sent to Big Rick last night. The texts are still here on my text line page, but it was sent to Big Rick, saying, the president encouraged peaceful protests. Bull-looney. The president did not issue peaceful protests. He did not ask for a peaceful protest. He said, we got to go and use strength and be strong. And, of course, Rudy Giuliani said, trial by combat. And who was the senator or the congressman who said, we're going to kick ass and take names? Nobody was talking peaceful protests. Now, again, I will grant you, you're welcome to tell me that you don't think it was an incitement to violence. I do, but that's a fair point for you to make. But don't tell me he was encouraging a peaceful protest. It was not, I repeat, it was not an incitement to a peaceful protest. And I'd like to know who these people are who he thinks told him that it was totally appropriate, because even his own advisors aren't even telling him that anymore. I mean, everybody around him now is telling him, you screwed this thing up really bad. You screwed the pooch. Yesterday, as we mentioned, the FBI has come out, so has the Capitol Police, with concerns about what's going to happen moving forward. The FBI says it warned law enforcement agencies before the event that something was being planned, something very serious, very violent, but nothing was done about it. Now the Justice Department is rounding up those that they can find and charging them, people like former Delegate Derek Evans from West Virginia. The acting U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Michael Sherwin, says they are looking at sedition and conspiracy charges against some of the rioters. Some of them will be charged with relatively minor crimes like trespassing or that sort of stuff. But some could face sedition and conspiracy charges. Attorney Sherwin says this is only the beginning. And he says they're going to use some of the techniques they have used in counterterrorism investigations to try and find the people who were involved.
Just yesterday, our office organized a strike force of very senior national security prosecutors and public corruption prosecutors. Their only marching orders from me are to build seditious and conspiracy charges related to the most heinous acts that occurred in the Capitol.
A lot of the people who were involved in this, and we know this to be a fact because we saw them being interviewed on CNN and elsewhere afterwards, a lot of people involved, even deeply involved, I mean, the ones who went into Pelosi's office and the ones who threatened violence, a lot of them really just thought it was, why, a big game? Why? That guy that's been arrested, Biffy, we talked about it yesterday. Where'd you say he was from? Arkansas, right?
The guy
was in Pelosi's office?
Yeah, he was from Arkansas.
Yeah, he was from Arkansas. And, he came out afterwards and made it, I didn't steal it. I left a quarter for the stuff that I took. They thought it was a joke. They're going to be laughing all the way to the jail, I think, from now on. Meanwhile, yesterday, all eight of the nation's top military officers, the Joint Chiefs, sent a message to all soldiers in all of our armed forces, warning troops to follow the law. Now think about that. You have to send a message to the American troops, you are to follow the law. The 4-star officers who make up the Joint Chiefs wrote in their memo, quote, any act to disrupt the constitutional process is not only against our traditions, our values, and our oath, it is against the law. So the Joint Chiefs are trying to calm the waters among their own members. There are going to be some folks in the military who are going to be supportive of Trump and going to be supportive of the violence. And then their question becomes, where does their real loyalty lie? They are pledged by oath to support the Constitution and to follow the chain of command unless it interferes with their oath of the Constitution. Will they do so? We know that there were some, and I think a couple of the people who have been arrested are, if not current, were former military officers. We know there's some in the military who are going to support the protests. So the Joint Chiefs are trying to calm those waters. And Congress yesterday decided to, or earlier this week, to try to make the Capitol safer. Now, Biff, if you go to pay your fire fee at the city of Wheeling, you have to go through a metal detector. If you want to go to many institutions, you go through a metal detector. And so they decided to set up metal detectors at the Capitol, which makes perfect sense considering what happened a week ago today. They make it a requirement. They made it a requirement now. You have to wear a mask on the House floor, and you have to go through a metal detector. Who can object to going through a metal detector? Well, the answer is some of the Republican lawmakers. Some of them yesterday complained about, and a couple simply refused to go through the metal detectors. One of them said it's unconstitutional. What if it's unconstitutional in the state in the U.S. Capitol? Then isn't it unconstitutional everywhere? How about when you're getting on an airplane, you're going through security there? Is that unconstitutional? And what's your objection? What's your objection? It's just to be a troublemaker. It's purely to be a troublemaker. I'm not going to do it. Why? Because I'm just not going to do it. Now, there is one newer member of Congress who doesn't want to do it because she wants to bring her guns to the floor of the Capitol. Oh, crazy times, my friends. Crazy times. Crazy, crazy times. Well, in addition to the insurrection, and we have more of that conversation coming up, including talk with Hoppy Kirchhoff about the impeachment and more on the Mike Azinger story as well. But in addition to that, COVID's still around, and it's not just the vaccine, but it is testing that we still need to be concerned about. We'll talk about that next hour on the Watchdog Morning Show.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
ABC News.
Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, I'm back, Biffy. Let me know when or if Vic is on the line. Okay. I did not talk to him. Somebody else scheduled it, so. I'll do a coronavirus update at the beginning. And then hopefully he'll be ready by the end of the coronavirus update. But if not, we'll move on.
Online services help put you in control with secure access to your information anytime, anywhere, allowing you to spend more time with family, friends, or simply just enjoying the day. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. See what you can do online at socialsecurity.gov.
U.S. taxpayer expense.
When winter weather strikes the Ohio Valley, you can trust the Storm Tracker 7 weather team to help you plan your day. Our experienced meteorologists stay connected with you on TV, online, and on social. Get your weather information straight from a local source. We'll help you be prepared and make sure you'll never be surprised.
And we do expect dry conditions overnight, tonight, and all day tomorrow.
Meteorologist Dr. Dave Walker, Aaron Mylar, and me, Zach Petty, the Storm Tracker 7 weather team, working for you.
In a hurry and need to see a doctor? The Woodsdale Health Center and Walk-In Clinic is located across from Little Caesars on National Road. Open 7 to 7 Monday through Friday. Patients can receive primary care, treatment of minor illnesses and injuries, wellness visits and physicals. There's also a lab draw station open from 8 to noon weekdays. A division of Wheeling Hospital, the Woodsdale Health Center is led by family physician Dr. Michael Wilson. Call 304-234-1971. They'll take good care of you.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for your Wednesday. Partly sunny skies, a daytime high near 41, overnight low of 31 under partly cloudy skies. Cloud sunshine mixing for your Thursday with highs near 45. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Hey, welcome back to the show.
Wait, what day is today?
What day is today?
The greatest national holiday of all time.
Today is National Rubber Ducky Day. National Rubber Ducky Day.
What sound does a duck make?
Rubber Duck Day.
Shuck it, duck it!
You ready to do this?
I'm ready. I have all my ducks in a row.
All right, let's get quacking. It's showtime.
fresh take on local, regional, and national news. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe, brought to you in part by Wheeling Hospital.
Takes me back to the days of my childhood. Rubber ducky, you're the one. You make bath time lots of fun. Rubber ducky, do. I forget the rest of it, but the Rubber Ducky song, which was done by disc jockey Rick Dees way back when, a long time ago. What's coming up today? Well, a lot of the attention in the COVID world has been turning to the vaccine, but there's still significant testing being done here in the Ohio Valley, and I thought we'd best remind you about that. Dr. Vic Wood's going to join us from Doctors Urgent Care to help discuss that a little bit. Brooke County has chosen to continue remote education for their kids past the governor's January 19th deadline. The WVEA reiterates its belief that all school decisions should be made locally, not at the statewide level, and they also issue a poll of their members showing members are dramatically concerned about getting back to school before the vaccine is in full effect. The House votes today on impeachment of Donald Trump. We'll have continuing coverage from ABC, and I'll chat with my talk line friend Hoppy Kercheval about his thoughts on impeachment, surprising a lot of people, I might say angering a lot of people. Kercheval believes impeachment is necessary. The FBI, we now know, had significant warnings of violent protests ahead of the Capitol insurrection, but apparently no preemptive action was taken. And meanwhile, as states prepare for trouble following the FBI alert of potential violence coming in all 50 states, Governor Justice says, don't worry, we are a state of goodness. We got goodness, and law enforcement will be diligent, but West Virginians will use good judgment, and we should be okay. I'm concerned about a couple of things in West Virginia with the potential for violence. The vice president, remember, hang Mike Pence at the Capitol insurrection last week. The vice president coming to the state on Friday for the Chuck Yeager Memorial, and the governor's own inaugural is next Monday. Both seem to me to be potential times for potential violence, so hopefully we are properly prepared. A petition has been started to remove State Senator Mike Azinger in Charleston following his involvement in protests at the U.S. Capitol. He says it wasn't an insurrection, it was more like a county fair. Mountain State lawmakers are back in Charleston today for their organizational session, just a one-day quick organizational session. Then they adjourn until after Governor Justice is inaugurated. So we have all of that coming up for you this morning here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Weather-wise, a mixture of sun and clouds, maybe a little bit more sun than clouds, but still basically sunny and clouds mixed together. Very mild day today. Daytime high 41 degrees. Temperature moving up a little bit, not a lot, still cold. 27 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. That 27, it feels like 19 degrees because there is some wind blowing around. So 27 at the airport, 19 is the feels like temperature. On the COVID front, we have been focusing a lot of talk recently on the vaccine. I certainly know I'm waiting diligently, eagerly for the vaccine to arrive and for myself to take it. I'm a 67-year-old man with all kinds of pre-existing conditions, so I'm looking forward to that. But I think maybe lost in the shuffle a little bit has been the continuing need for us still to have COVID-19 testing. And so I thought maybe just a reminder of that today and help me talk about the testing. I invited Dr. Vic Wood from Doctors Urgent Care to come on. Dr. Wood, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Howard. How are you doing?
I am good. It seems to me as if we focus so much attention on the vaccine, we as a society, that maybe we've forgotten there's still a significant need for testing, right?
Sure, certainly is. And it seems like our testing has had a huge uptick recently with more positives than over the past couple months.
Now, at Doctors Urgent Care, you're doing testing on, is it a daily basis or a regular basis?
Oh, we're doing testing on a daily basis. And actually, We just started testing for the State Department of Health and Human Resources, where it's a free nasal swab test that we actually take the specimen, and then we get it to the state, and they send it out, and we lose control of it after that. But they are the ones who notify the patients after they get the results back. But anyway, that part of it is free, but and it'll take a few days to get that back. But we are also doing we're doing rapid COVID tests in our office. It's for a fee, though.
Okay.
So that's what we have going on.
A lot of people want the rapid test. I guess, Dr. Wood, people who get the rapid test feel they still want the follow-up results from sending it off. Is that what you see in most people who get a rapid test?
Well, some of them. If you have a negative test but you're symptomatic, then we send it out for the PCR test. And then even if you're not symptomatic and you're negative and you request it, we'll still send it out for you.
So you will do for a fee the rapid test and then the standard test. Is it a nasal swab test, I assume?
Yes.
You know, I had a test done, and I was nervous, like everybody, because we heard all these horror stories about how they were going to, drive a ice pick up through your brain or something in the beginning. Honestly, maybe my experience was different. I almost tickled. It really was not that big a problem for me.
Sure. Yeah, and everybody's different on that. Most people tolerate it just fine.
So folks can just show up at Doctor's Urgent Care for the free test. I assume they need an ID. Is there any residency requirement? Do you have to have an insurance card, anything of that nature?
No insurance card, but you do have to have an ID with you that proves that you're a West Virginia resident.
Okay, so it's West Virginia residents.
Yeah.
Right, it's West Virginia residents, although it's not confined to Ohio County. It's an Ohio County location, but not confined to Ohio County. Is that correct?
Right, and it is just in our Wheeling office, not our St. Clairsville office.
Yeah, okay. Well, of course, that makes sense since it's being paid for by the DHHR. Dr. Wood, who, in your mind, listeners who are listening, who should get a COVID test at this stage of the game?
Well, of course, the number of people getting the COVID has increased because everybody's worried to death about it. But if you've been exposed, or if you're going to be traveling, if you're going to go see grandma, you should probably have that testing done.
Yeah, and I assume if you feel like you have symptoms, obviously you want to get it done.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, if you're sick. And we do that. When you come in, if you're sick with respiratory illnesses, then we not only do the COVID, but we do the influenza test on you. So, yeah, of course, if you're sick, you need to have that checked.
Do you have people show up that just, I hate to use the word curious, but just they don't necessarily have any symptoms. They don't know that they've been around someone, but they just want to get a test done. They just want to kind of feel more confident. Again, I know other word but curious, but do you have people with not any particular reason but still want to show up and just at least get a test done?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The reasons just cover a wide gambit for the patients. But yes, if you just show up and you want tests, we do that.
Yeah, I'd been in the emergency room. That's why I had a COVID test done. And I had been for a long time, to the best of my knowledge, I wasn't exposed to any COVID, and or anybody who had COVID. I didn't have any symptoms, but I got to tell you, just in my head, I kept thinking, man, I think I'd just like to have a test done. I had it done for a reason, again, because at that point I was in the emergency room, but I got to tell you, I felt much better at having had it done and getting a clean bill of health there. If you do get a positive result from the test, then what's the requirement? Quarantine for, it used to be 14 days. Is it 10 days now?
Yeah, 10 days is what we've been telling our patients. Then Most people are doing just fine with that. We have some folks that can get pretty sick, but most of them are not, and their symptoms really are wide as far as what people come in with, whether or not they've lost their sense of taste and smell, or they have a cough or sore throat or stuffy nose, or even GI symptoms. So it's a weird virus that presents in many different ways.
Hey, Doc, I don't know if you have any thoughts on this or not. There's some talk about new and different strains being around. I don't know that we have seen any in West Virginia, but in other states there's some variants of the original COVID-19 virus.
Sure.
What do you know about that, or what do you think we ought to be? How concerned should we be about that? And does the testing, first of all, catch that as well as the regular virus?
Well, yes, the data so far indicates that it catches it. But, viruses mutate all the time. And so this particular virus has been mutating all along. And so it's changing a little bit, but not enough to change the diagnosis as far as the testing goes. And most of the symptoms are remaining the same. And I believe the vaccine's going to cover all that.
Mm-hmm. So we should be aware that there's this different strain out there. There may be more than one coming, depending on how things go, but not get panic-stricken about it, or not worry that it's somehow going to mutate into some evil virus.
The data so far does not support that.
Okay, very good. All right, just a quick reminder again. Give us the details of Doctors Urgent Care and of your testing that's being done.
Well, we do a wide variety of testing. One is the pre-testing for the state that we do the sample, then we send it out. The state sends it out, and the state handles it from there. And it'll take a few days to get that back, but we're not involved in it after we do the sample. The state handles all that. And then in my office, we do the rapid testing for a fee, and also we do the sending out of the PCRs for a fee. So we do all that, and then also we do the antibody testing.
So all of that can be done at it's at your Wheeling office, which is, I forget the exact name of that street. It's sort of up Bethany Pike up that way, right?
Homestead, yeah, just right next to Peterson.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, exactly. So is it just walk in? Can people just walk in and get a test? They have to call and make an appointment?
No, they can walk in.
Okay, walk in. And during what hours?
We're open from 8 to 5
okay.
right now.
All right.
And then on the weekend,
so if someone,
12.
Okay, very good. And you're open on what both Saturday and Sunday, or just one day, or what?
Saturday and Sunday, 8 to 12.
Okay, well, that's good, because some of the other testing sites aren't open then. So there are a lot of ways to get testing here, but I want to make sure people knew about Doctors Urgent Care, your fairly new addition to the DHHR activity, so people can get that testing done there if they feel more comfortable with that. Dr. Wood, I appreciate your time this morning. Appreciate the work that you do. You always do some good work. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Howard. Thanks for getting the word out.
All right, have yourself a good day.
You too.
Dr. Vic Wood from Doctors Urgent Care joining us this morning here on the Watchdog Morning Show. And we've been spending so much time talking about the vaccine, I thought it was probably a good time to be reminding you that COVID testing still needs to be done. Doctors Urgent Care has just recently been added to the DHHR list of sites for that. So free testing done at Doctors Urgent Care right next to Peterson Hospital. He said, I keep saying up Bethany Pike. That's the way I look at it. It's on Homestead Avenue by technical definition. But and you can go anytime during the day, 7 days a week, which is good. Slightly restricted hours on the weekend, but you can go anytime and get a test done. And then it goes out to the state, and it takes a few days for your results to come back. If you want a rapid response test, there is a fee for that, but you can also get that done too at Doctors Urgent Care. And I just picked on Doctors Urgent Care because it's an example. There's some pharmacies that are doing it, doing the testing. Of course, we have multiple testing being done by the state health, the county health departments. I think, I don't have my notes in front of me, I think the Marshall County Health Department is still doing their testing today, maybe. I do have my notes here, and it doesn't have didn't bring in the list of tests. But I think Marshall County is still doing testing at the health department. Ohio County is doing testing. Wheeling Island, I guess, they've modified their stuff as well. Clearly, I'm not as properly prepared to share the information with you as I should have been. I feel bad about that.
That would be the that would be if it's on the island. It would be the fire station on the island.
Right.
If there's,
I know they closed the Valley Grove. They were doing 3 locations for a while. And they closed Valley Grove. I think it's still Wheeling Island Fire Department. And I want to say one other, and I apologize. I just can't remember where the other one is, but I'm sure you can find out by calling the health department or checking online or something. Let's get some quick coronavirus numbers in here. Shall we do that, Brother Biff?
Yeah, we can do that.
COVID-19 update.
Continuing coverage of the year America shut down continues on the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
Just want to give you some numbers. Marshall County Health Department has confirmed 17 new positive cases, 7 new probable cases. That brings Marshall County up to a total of 1,938 confirmed, 474 probable. 11 are still hospitalized, 53 deaths related to COVID in Marshall County. More information, of course, by calling the Marshall County Health Department at 845-7840 or checking their Facebook page at the Marshall County Health Department. And I think they're doing testing again today, but I can't guarantee that because my notes don't say that. Wheeling, Ohio County Health Department says they've had 2 more COVID-19 deaths yesterday. Both were in the hospital at the time of their death, and 22 new cases of COVID-19 in Ohio County as well. So a total in Ohio County of 3,075 cases, including 54 deaths coming out of Ohio County. Now, this to me is good news because, again, I wasn't really complaining. I was just making a point yesterday, but I got some texts telling me I was whining and complaining about, the 80-year-olds get their tests, get their vaccines, and the 50-year-old plus teachers are getting their vaccines. How about 67-year-old men who have pre-existing conditions? That means me. And I got some texts saying, well, you're just whining and complaining. So I'm not whining and complaining. I'm just wondering what mine's coming. Apparently, new federal guidelines are going to recommend opening up the vaccine process now to everyone 65 and older. Yay! And will also aim to move doses out the door rather than holding some back. The federal policy had been to hold some vaccine back for the second dose, but now they want to get as many out for a first dose as possible. So they're recommending the states open the vaccination process to everyone older than 65 and any adult who has a pre-existing condition, putting them at greater risk for serious infection. I'm a twofer. I got both of those. Expanding the venues where people can get vaccinated to include community health centers and more pharmacies, and getting all the available doses out the door now. Those are some of the things that the new guidelines are recommending. So we'll see how that plays out in West Virginia and elsewhere, but that's at least something that is the CDC. It says the federal government. I guess the CDC is recommending. Somewhat related to, definitely related to COVID. Back to the school front, Brooke County schools have decided to continue with remote learning through the rest of January. As you know, Governor Justice wants elementary and middle schools to begin in-person lessons starting next week, January 19th. But the Brooke County School Board this week met and voted to continue with remote learning. They say the county is still red. They're still concerned about the number of COVID cases. And so they're going to continue for at least until at least the end of January with remote learning in Brooke County. Stephanie Zimmer is a spokesperson for the district. She says, looking at our remote instruction, we feel we've had many successes. Our middle school is being raved about as how well teachers have adapted and made plans to get everyone put on remote learning. School board will look at the case numbers at the end of the month and see whether they go back to school in person at the end of the month or continue to stay remote longer period of time. Brooke County's been on remote since November the 12th. Now, as the counties make decisions on school reentry, the WVEA has repeated what it had said previously, which is they believe that all such decisions ought to be local, not mandated by the governor. Also yesterday, the WVEA released a poll of their membership concluding that teachers would feel more comfortable returning to classrooms on a hybrid schedule. And we heard some of that from the Ohio County parents who showed up at the Ohio County School Board earlier this week. They liked the early year hybrid schedule, 2 days on, 2 days remote, 2 days in class, 2 days remote, 1 day for cleaning. Dale Lee, our old friend from the WVEA, says it's simply too early to return without adequate safeguards in place, and he bases that on his conversation with his own members. Starting to get some debate here on whether or not local districts should be making these decisions or whether or not they ought to be made by the governor. But Brooke County is bucking the trend, saying they're going to stay remote at least through the end of the year. All right, it's 8:30 in the morning here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Now, impeachment is going to be voted on today in Congress. I guess it's probably going to pass in Congress. The question then becomes, what does the Senate do? And I guess even before what does the Senate do, the question becomes, when does Congress when will the articles of impeachment be sent over to the Senate? I mean, there's some people suggesting that they ought to withhold the actual trial until after Biden is inaugurated. They can do that. The House does not have to transmit those letters of impeachment immediately. We'll talk about impeachment coming up in a minute or two. ABC will have more details for us. And my good friend Hoppy Kercheval really surprised a lot of people this week. Kercheval tends to be a lean to the right kind of guy. And yet Hoppy has written about and talked about on Talkline the need for impeachment. We'll get his take on that coming up in a minute or two here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Let's check some Ohio Valley headlines and a quick check of sports. Then we'll head over to Hoppy.
The WTRF Channel 7 News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Now it's time for...
You can get Hoppy when we come back. just let me know when he's there.
Texas. They've got the date tonight against Texas Tech, and then they've added a game to this Saturday. They'll be playing at home against Oklahoma State. That game will tip off at 2 o'clock. Football news. WVU's head coach, Neil Brown, continues to ascend in the American Football Coaches Association. He has been named as a member of the Board of Trustees. He will represent the Big 12 Conference. Louisiana coach Billy Napier will represent the Sun Belt, and Arkansas coach Sam Pittman will represent the SEC. That is today's Mountaineer Report. It's brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics. I'm Tony Caridi on the Mountaineer Sports Network from Learfield, IMG College.
A serious injury from an accident can be just the start of your worries. What if you cannot return to work? How do you take care of your family if you're disabled? At Gelner Law Offices, we represent seriously injured people and understand their problem. We know how to get you fair compensation. We will work hard to make sure you get the money you deserve for your losses. Don't go it alone. If you're hurt in an accident, call us at 304-242-2900 or visit us at gelnerlaw.com.
We'd like to help.
Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 want to thank the owners and contractors of the Ohio Valley for using their locally trained workers to help build for the future. Local 83 helps design, fabricate, and build the gas infrastructure for the oil and gas industry here in the Ohio Valley. Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 is 300 members strong and growing. They also do residential, commercial, and industrial work on both sides of the river. For more information, call Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 at 304-233-4445.
Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection. Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection.
Hey, I'm going to the kitchen. Can I grab you a Coors Light?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Huh. I never knew there was a zip line in my fridge. Hey! Hey, buddy! Yeah! You got 2 Coors Lights up there?
You got it!
Always brewed down to 34 degrees. With a taste as cold as the Rockies, only Coors Light gives you refreshment every time.
Here you go. 2 Coors Lights.
Awesome, man. Wow, these are really cold.
That's the only way I deliver it.
Sure. I mean, you being a mountain climber and all.
Yep.
You probably need a pretty warm coat in there, huh?
Yep.
Hey, Ben!
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
That makes sense. It is the Rockies.
Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. With great beer comes great responsibility.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster, with a look at your local weather forecast for your Wednesday. Partly sunny skies, a daytime high near 41, overnight low of 31 under partly cloudy skies, cloud sunshine mixing for your Thursday with highs near 45. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
Hi, this is Hoppy Kercheval. Join me weekdays at 10:06, right after the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe for Statewide Talkline. I love guests, conversations, texts, phone calls, and all the big stories affecting West Virginia. So tune in weekdays right here on FM 98.1 and FM 97.7, The Watchdog.
He rambles, he rants, and sometimes he sings. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
I guess I did sing already this morning, right? I did the Rubber Ducky, so I've done a little singing today as well. It's 8:40, 22 of the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. 27 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. Winds are whipping up around 8 miles an hour out of the south. That gives us a feels-like temperature of 19 degrees, so it's definitely a cold morning. Not chilly, like Zach was saying. It's cold out there. 27 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. 27 here at my home studios in Elm Grove. 27 degrees at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling, in the heart of the Ohio Valley. You just heard Tony Caridi with the Mountaineer Report talking about a couple of Mountaineer basketball games off the schedule. Biffy, I'm looking at the list we had. We began the beginning of this week with, I think, 6 items on our high school, on our Watchdog sports schedule. I think we're down to just 2 of them left before the week is over and done with.
Yeah, and if West Virginia, if the earliest they can play is Saturday the 23rd, and if they are able to play the 23rd, that will be 2 full weeks in between games, because they played on the 9th, and then again they were supposed to play Baylor last night. That got postponed. TCU on Saturday, and I believe Oklahoma State was next Tuesday, maybe. So those 3 games all got postponed. So if they are able to play on Saturday the 23rd, it'll be 2 weeks in between games for West Virginia.
Jeez. What are the COVID protocols is what's got them concerned for those games. So we did get a game, and of course our high school schedule's all been messed up. Normally we'd be bringing you all kinds of high school basketball games. We can't bring any West Virginia games because the governor has got them shut down. We are trying to bring you some Ohio high school basketball. We did get one last night. I guess it's a pretty good game, a pretty close score, Biffy, but Steubenville beat out St. Clairsville last night in our game last night, right?
Yeah, 78-75, and that was a game that St. Clairsville led through most of the way until early in the fourth quarter, and Steubenville fought back and got the lead, and then the rest of the fourth quarter was kind of a back-and-forth game, and Steubenville was able to hang on and pull it out in the end. St. Clairsville had a chance to tie it with a three-pointer, and the shot fell short, and Steubenville ended up winning last night. So, yeah, it was a good game.
Our next high school game will be a week from last night, next Tuesday night, Harrison Central at St. Clairsville, where I guess the head coaches are brothers coaching against each other, huh?
Yes, that would be the Clifford brothers going at it next week. So that'll be an interesting game. Yeah. So
we'll bring that to you next Tuesday night here on the Watchdog. So the other things left on our schedule that have not been canceled. We have the Penguins for you on Wednesday?
Should be tonight, yeah, at 5:30.
Tonight. Penguins are in action on WKKX, FM 98.1, AM 1600. And also on WKKX on Sunday, the Brownies are in action. Against the Chiefs. So those are a few of the things we have on our high school, on our WKKX, WVOY sports schedule. I need to do one more quick reminder, too. It's a traffic note for you. The Highway Department says that today, the Cabela's on-ramp to I-70 westbound will be closed. that's getting off from the Highlands, getting off from the Cabela's area and coming down towards Elm Grove. The westbound on-ramp to I-70 will be closed 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. They're doing some pothole patching. So what you have to do is go I-70 east one exit, get off at exit 11, and then turn around and come back. Please be aware of that. Otherwise, you're going to be swearing and complaining because of traffic tie-ups. So be aware of that. Impeachment is underway. Impeachment votes will be taken today in the U.S. Capitol. I think it probably will pass. I'm not totally sure. The 25th Amendment is not going to happen. Mike Pence is not going to do that. But impeachment is under consideration. And earlier this week on Statewide Talk Line and then at WVMetroNews.com in its commentary, Hoppy Kercheval, let me repeat that. Hoppy Kercheval said he supports impeachment. Hoppy, you're getting yourself in a lot of trouble lately.
You think? I guess if you saw my email account and my text, you would that would confirm that. Yeah.
Mike Azinger called you a liberal earlier in the week.
Yeah.
And then you come out and support impeachment. I find that really interesting, though. Tell me why. Why do you think impeachment's the right thing to do?
Well, I thought a lot about it. I read a lot about it, and as I said in the commentary, Howard, and I think you know this, my inclination, believe it or not, is to try to find some common ground and not just be the center of controversy, but try to give a little, get a little. And I thought, well, maybe it just could be a resignation and can all go away. But, Howard, problems don't just go away. They simmer, they get worse, and they have to be dealt with. And I could not get past what happened a week ago today. A mob insurrection of the United States Capitol during the very moment when the people's elected representatives are codifying the outcome of an election which leads to the peaceful transfer of power. And that is momentous. And there needs to be accountability. Accountability for those who stormed the Capitol, and clearly that's happening, and also for those who incited. And President Trump, in my opinion, a week ago did incite, and it wasn't just that speech, because people are going to parse out that speech and say, well, but he didn't actually say storming the Capitol building, which is true. But since the election, and he had every right to challenge the outcome in certain states where it was close, but after it became very clear that Joe Biden won the election, he continued to foment anger, resentment, and to spread falsehoods about the election, and to create the idea that the election results could be overturned and that Mike Pence could himself change the outcome of the election, to the point where some of the people marshaling the Capitol said, hang Pence. That is inciting. And that's why he should be held accountable, and that's why there should be impeachment and removal from office.
You said earlier that, he could resign. Donald Trump is not a man who will resign, I don't think. I think that's clearly not going to happen. I had thought, as you point out, Mike Pence, they said, hang Mike Pence, hang Mike Pence. He's become persona non grata to some of the cult-like followers of Donald Trump. I thought maybe he would at least bring up the 25th Amendment, but he has said he's not going to do that, which leaves impeachment, I guess, as the only alternative. But the practicality of it, Hoppy, I would assume that Congress will get articles of impeachment, but he's not going to be removed from office before Inauguration Day, I don't think, do you?
No, I wouldn't think so. But, Howard, there is the practical, and that's a fair argument. But also there's what's right. And in this instance, I think what happened is so egregious that I don't think we default to what's convenient. I think we default to what's right. And in this case, I strongly believe it's right that the accountability is the right step. And you can, I guess you can go right into removal in the Senate, which would delay Senate action on anything else, and that upsets, Biden starting out. Or you can wait till after the first 100 days that they act on some of Biden's initial proposals. I'm not sure, but I don't want to let. I don't think that should trump, if you will, what should be done in this instance. And also, Howard, I want to make the point, and I think this has been lost in this, and I know that people who believe the election was stolen and believe that about the deep state, I know this is no comfort to them. It probably further angers them. But I think that, sadly, Trump misled millions of his own supporters into believing that he won by a landslide, which he didn't. And that's a disservice to Trump voters and a dog whistle for the unhinged.
Listen, you won't get any argument from me. I've felt that for some time. I think that since the day he took office, what Donald Trump has done is delegitimize the institutions we used to have faith in, including the media, including the Justice Department, the FBI, and now the electoral system itself. I mean, I think that's been a through line of this administration, delegitimize anything other than belief in himself. And that's what it comes down to. Hoppy, it amazes me, and I try not to engage in the debate anymore. I can't take it. But it amazes me that there are people who will say that every single entity and person is wrong except Donald Trump. Supreme Court was wrong. Was it 60 different courts have ruled against him? The state legislators who have said their counts were good. I mean, it's been universally accepted by everybody that the election was not widespread fraud.
Right.
And yet he continues to claim it was, and his followers, the unhinged of his followers, and I don't suggest everybody who supports Trump is unhinged. I'm saying the unhinged of his followers believe it. And they've come to the point where literally every other institution, every other individual in the country, Mike Pence, Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham now, have become the enemy. The only guy that can be believed is Donald Trump. How does that happen?
Well, I don't know, but you're right. And when you have the debate with folks who believe that, for example, if they believe I'm a liberal or a communist or part of the swamp or whatever, and these issues come up, for example, Antifa was really those in the raid of the Capitol. No, they weren't. Well, how do you know that? Well, because the FBI has said so. Kevin McCarthy, the minority leader in the House, has said so. Those who've looked into those who stormed the Capitol said so. Well, yeah, but what about this guy in a black outfit? Well, I mean, you can't. So how do you argue that? Or Trump won a landslide. Well, no, he didn't, because, and you point out A, B, C, D. Well, but you can't believe what these people, you can't believe what the media says. Okay, what about the Republican election leaders? Well, they're part of the swamp. Well, so you keep, every time that you have this argument with people who will not accept the facts, you just go farther down a rabbit hole that you can't get out of. And at some point you just, I got an email last night and said, you need to answer these 10 questions. And they were all just those kinds of things. And what's the point? And I understand. I get it. I get it that people were deeply disappointed that Trump lost. And I get it that people who voted for Trump feel disenfranchised and feel like their voices aren't being heard and that the left elite are having, too much influence. I get all that. But you cannot use that, or you should not use that, to deny realities. And that's with some, a few, that's where we are.
Yeah, well, reality has taken on a whole new meaning during much of this administration, and certainly here in the tail end of this administration. The FBI retroactively has said that they had advance warning. They had found some information online that strongly suggested there was going to be armed, violent protest at the Capitol, and not enough, in my mind, was done to be prepared for that. And now we have reports that there are plans afoot for violence, not just at the inaugural, at Biden's inaugural and at the Capitol, but at state capitals around the country as well. I got to tell you, Hoppy, I'm really, really nervous and scared.
Well, I think we should be nervous. And what happened a week ago has shaken us to the core, and it should. And it should. So we should be nervous, we should be on alert, and we should be worried. Now, what's going to happen, I don't know. Clearly, there were security breakdowns in what happened a week ago. My guess would be that this time it will be there will be more than enough security, one would think. That doesn't mean there still won't be ugly scenes. But, Howard, I tell you, I think that a lot of the folks who went to that rally Wednesday were just decent folk who support Trump, who are deeply disappointed and want to be there to demonstrate their loyalty to him, and certainly had no intention of storming the Capitol. So I don't think those folks are going to cause any trouble. They didn't cause any trouble Wednesday, but some may. But I don't know if there's going to be that many. I mean, especially when you see the FBI came out yesterday. Those who caused the storm of the Capitol, they're in serious trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, they're facing potentially years in prison. That's a serious matter.
Some will face relatively, I use the phrase relatively minor charges. Derek Evans from West Virginia, they're relatively minor. I forget what they are, but trespass, those kind of things. But the federal attorney prosecuting these cases yesterday said, they're looking into sedition and treason. I don't know treason, but they're looking into sedition as potential charges. That ain't a light matter. That's a pretty serious thing.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that from the press conference, and I thought, as I listened to that, I thought that because there was, what stood out about Wednesday, among other things, was an apparent breakdown in security, and we saw the terrible scenes. It seems to me that the Justice Department, the FBI, stepped up and said, this is not going to stand. And we have to ensure that those who did this are held responsible. And this is not just, well, they were in it, we can't find them. No, this sounded to me like, we will track you down. And in fact, you're better if you just turn yourself in because we will track you down. I thought it was a very powerful presentation by the FBI.
Yeah, they made it very clear that they intended to, and the federal attorney made it very clear they're going to seek these folks out. They're going to look long and hard. They're going to use facial recognition. They're going to use video. They're going to use informants, I suspect, and other forms of information to find out who these folks are and to arrest and prosecute them, which I think has to be done. I mean, I think that's this kind of thing. I got to tell you, Hoppy, I've talked sort of on the show sometimes about, I think civil war is coming and so on, but I truly never thought we'd see what we saw on Wednesday of last week.
Well, I didn't either. But I don't think anybody did. And it's those images, Howard, those are historic images. I don't mean historic in a positive way. I mean, those will be with us forever. And they're powerful. And I just, as I said before, it's bad enough way on the far end of the scale to storm the Capitol. But at the very moment when you're codifying the outcome of a national election, that is sedition, that is insurrection.
One of the comments the FBI, I think it's the FBI, said yesterday when they talked about some new plans they've seen online, someone has said, we will get our president, I assume that means get Trump in office, we will get our president or we will die trying. All scary stuff. And I got to tell you, I'm more in West Virginia. We got the vice president coming on, Friday?
Right.
Chuck Yeager Memorial.
Right.
We have Justice's inaugural on Monday. If there are opportunities for trouble, I think those are key opportunities. So I sincerely hope that we are properly prepared. And I do think that we will be, and I'm not trying to diminish the governor's comments, but when he says things like he's going to rely on the goodness of the people, I don't know that we can rely on the goodness of the people.
Well, Howard, as the old saying goes, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. You have to be prepared. I mean,
coming up today, statewide talk line, probably. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, just that. And, yeah, we'll talk about this on Talkline today along with some other things. I mean, also, I want to get back to some things in West Virginia. We got schools all over the place, and I hope to talk about that some today as well. So.
All right, coming up today, statewide Talkline at 10 right here on the Watchdog. Good talking to you, Hoppy. Thanks very much.
And you, sir. Thank you.
Talk to you. Hoppy Kercheval, statewide Talkline. I got to go. I got to get out of here. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Good Lord willing, creeks don't rise. Are you back with me, Brother Biff?
I'm back for a Thursday.
We'll keep on doing it till we get it right.
That could be a long time.
Indeed.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Capital were certified.
Okay, Biffy, have yourself a good watchdog. And I'm not coming in for our meeting, but I'll be on phone. So if you need me for anything, give me a call. Otherwise, I'll talk to you in the morning and we'll see what's going on then. All right, thanks a lot. Bye.
Oath to the Constitution. ABC's Aaron Katursky has more on the continued threat of violence inside the building where lawmakers are meeting.
Both in the military and in Congress, there are now concerns about threats from within.
I didn't even feel safe around other members of Congress.
New York Democrat Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said on Instagram she refused to shelter with some of her Republican colleagues
who I know and who I had felt would disclose my location and allow me to who would create opportunities to allow me to be hurt.
The Joint Chiefs issued a memo reminding service members their loyalty is to the Constitution. Aaron Katursky, ABC News, New York.
Some congressional Republicans said to be angry they now have to go through metal detectors to get to their offices. Criminal charges could be coming